Welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is Narayan Rao Kour. So in this video, we are going to understand the concept of price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand and what are the types of price elasticity of demand. Now, price elasticity of demand means the responsiveness of quantity demand of a commodity in response to the change in the price of a commodity. In other words, price elasticity of demand means percentage change in the quantity demanded divided by percentage change in the price of a commodity. So in other words, price elasticity of demand means the degree of responsiveness of quantity demand of a good is due to change in the price of a commodity. This is called price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand always negative because there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. But for the sake of our convenience, we ignore the minus sign and we can express the absolute value of price elasticity of demand. So, price elasticity of demand always negative. Strictly speaking, price elasticity ranges from minus infinity to 0. When we ignore the minus sign and we can express the absolute value of price elasticity of demand, so price elasticity of demand varies from 0 to infinity. This is the introduction to the price elasticity of demand. EP is equal to percentage change in the quantity demanded divided by percentage change in the price. Therefore, EP is equal to delta Q by delta P into P by Q. This is the formula to calculate price elasticity of demand. So now our concept is now types of price elasticity of demand. Types of price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand again divided into 5 types. So price elasticity of demand again divided into 5 types. So number 1, perfectly elastic demand. Perfectly elastic demand. EP is equal to infinity, also known as infinitely elastic demand. Perfectly elastic demand means small fall in price, demand rises to infinity, and small rise in price, demand is 0. This is a very peculiar situation. This type of situation does not happen in the real world. So, demand curve is parallel to x-axis or horizontal to x-axis. For example, found in perfectly competitive market or imaginary goods. Perfectly competitive market or imaginary goods. So if you observe the diagram, so draw L shape, mark YOX, price is measured on y-axis, quantity demand is measured on x-axis. This is called demand curve. Demand curve is parallel to x-axis, horizontal to x-axis. EP is equal to infinity. This is the first case. Second one, perfectly inelastic demand. Perfectly inelastic demand. So EP is equal to 0, also known as zero elastic demand. Zero elastic demand. So perfectly elastic demand means demand does not respond when changes in price. When price increase, price decrease, quantity demand does not respond. This is called perfectly inelastic demand. So demand curve is parallel to y-axis, horizontal to y-axis, or vertical. Examples are essentials like life-saving drugs, postcard, newspaper, shirt buttons, matchbox, salt, etc. etc. Best example for perfectly inelastic demand. See, if we observe the diagram, draw L shape, mark YOX, price is measured on Y axis, quantity demand is measured on X axis. This is the demand curve. Demand curve is parallel to Y axis. Original price is OP, demand constant. Price increased OP to OP1, demand is constant. Price decreased from OP2, demand constant. Demand does not respond when changes in price. Coefficient is 0. That is why zero elastic demand. Next. Third one, unitary elastic demand. Unitary elastic demand. So coefficient is equal to 1. Coefficient is equal to 1. So percentage change in quantity demand is equal to percentage change in the price is equal to 1. Therefore, EP is equal to 1. Demand curve is rectangular hyperbola or slopes downwards from left to right or convex to the origin or negative slope. Negative slope. So examples are comforts. Examples are comforts. Table, chair, fan, etc. etc. If we observe the diagram, so draw L shape, mark YOX, price is measured on Y axis, quantity demand is measured on X axis. So this is the demand curve. Demand curve is a rectangular hyperbola. Demand. So delta P is equal to delta Q. Percentage change in the quantity demand is equal to percentage change in the price is equal to 1. That is why EP is equal to 1. Next. Fourth case. Relatively inelastic demand. EP less than 1. EP less than 1. Percentage change in the quantity demand less than percentage change in price. This is called relatively inelastic demand. Demand curve is steeper or fairly steeper. So demand is relatively insensitive to price. Insensitive to price. సో డిమాండ్లో చేంజ్ తక్కువగా వస్తుంది. ప్రైస్లో వచ్చే చేంజ్ కంటే డిమాండ్లో వచ్చే చేంజ్ తక్కువగా ఉంటుంది. దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ డిమాండ్ ఈజ్ రిలేటివ్లీ ఇన్సెన్సిటివ్ టు ప్రైస్. ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఆర్ నెసెసరీస్, ఫ్యూయల్, ఫుడ్, ఎక్సెట్రా. Best example for relatively inelastic demand. So you observe the diagram, draw L shape. So mark YOX. So price is measured on Y axis. Quantity demand is measured on X axis. So demand curve is steeper. You see, percentage quantity demand is QQ1, that is small one, and percentage in price is PP1. So delta Q is less than delta P. Demand curve is steeper, fairly steeper. That is called relatively inelastic demand. Relatively inelastic demand. Next. Fifth one, relatively elastic demand. Relatively elastic demand. Coefficient is EP greater than 1. Coefficient is EP greater than 1. Percentage change in the quantity demand is greater than percentage change in price. Demand లో చేంజ్ ఎక్కువగా ఉంటుంది. Demand curve is fairly flat or slant. Fairly flatter or slant. Demand is relatively sensitive to price. Price లో వచ్చే చేంజ్ కంటే క్వాంటిటీ డిమాండ్ లో వచ్చే చేంజ్ ఎక్కువగా ఉంటుంది. సో దట్ ఈస్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఆర్ లగ్జరీస్ అని చెప్పొచ్చు. ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఆర్ లగ్జరీస్, గోల్డ్, జ్యువెలరీ, కాస్ట్లీ ఫర్నిచర్, ఎక్సెట్రా, ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ గుడ్స్, ఎక్సెట్రా. If we observe the diagram, draw L shape, mark YOX, price is measured on Y axis, quantity demand is measured on X axis, DD is the demand curve. DD is the demand curve, that is fairly flat or slant. So delta Q is greater than delta P. Demand లో వచ్చే చేంజ్ ఎక్కువగా ఉంది, ప్రైస్ లో వచ్చే చేంజ్ తక్కువగా ఉంది. దిస్ ఈస్ రిలేటివ్లీ ఎలాస్టిక్ డిమాండ్ అని చెప్పొచ్చు. సో elastic demand means more response in quantity demanded. Inelastic demand means less response in quantity demanded. So these are the 5 types of price elasticity of demand. 5 types of price elasticity of demand. So thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe and comment.